great afternoon, everyone, or great morning, depending on what part of the country you're in. My name is Kimberly Gilgeours, and we have with us Nekei Lewis here with us today. And we're really excited about what we're going to be able to share with you. Let me let Nekei introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nekei Lewis, and I am the founder at Quirk and also AskNekei.com. And we are the hosts for her Legacy Talk today.
Yes, and I'm really excited about the conversation that we're going to have today. And it is going to be a conversation. It's going to be a conversation around women and wealth. And what should you know and how does it affect you? So let's just jump right in. And I want to talk a little bit about what is going on in the area of finance. You know, Nekei, you work with women, as do I, and there's different realities for different women, right? You know, we all have different roles that we play. Tell me about some of your experiences with the women that you've worked with over the years. What is their reality and what are their concerns?
I mean, dealing with women, and, you know, we have a lot of pressures. We have pressures to take care of the children and make sure they're clothed and they're bathed and, you know, they're going to their schools. And then we also have our husbands or boyfriends or significant others. And, you know, they get hungry, right? And they're like, listen, what's for dinner? Right? Because they don't want to eat the frozen food. So what do we have to do? We have to be the chef and we have to cook. And then also, you know, it's like, all right, so what else do we have to do? Well, guess what? After you cook, you gotta clean. So being the person to clean up the house and do the laundry and do the sweeping, and, you know, it just becomes so overwhelming. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. You know, I can tell you for me personally, as a single mom, you know, I had to work and do all the things that you just outlined, and not having that support could be overwhelming. And I think that what happens is that reality tends to take over our entire life. And it almost seems like there's nothing else. There's no time for us. Like, how do we get to the point where there's something for each of us in terms of building out our wealth and achieving our goals? And one of the things that I'm glad we're talking about is, what does that look like? You know, I remember when I went to college, I went there to learn about finance, and I learned a lot about the global economy. But what about our personal economic situation, right? Or the female financial economy? It's very diverse, but it's also very different. And we find that we are confident in our day-to-day finances, but we may not be taken seriously when it comes to finances. You know, we talk about ownership. We actually account for 50% of all the stock owners, right? And $14 trillion that is controlled by women in the markets today.
Right.
But the big thing is, don't you find that most women are the breadwinners in their households?
Absolutely. You know, most of the women, you know, we are the ones bringing the money to the table when it comes to, like, you know, our corporate jobs and what we pretty much measure with that. Like, we are the ones that really, really have to really take it in consideration that, you know, money is a big part of what we're also bringing to the table, and we need a voice, you know, and being that voice also stands with the wealth and also with money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, money is important. You know, as I was growing up, I realized very early on that while money isn't everything, money is important when you need it, right? You know, just ask the person who needs money to provide food for their child, or to be able to ensure that they can get the health care that they need. So money is an important aspect of what happens in our life. And statistically, only 33% of women actually feel like they're on track for saving for their retirement. Pretty interesting, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So 50% of women do lack the financial products, right? Also, with all the rising health costs and all the information that is out there, it's just trying to figure out, like, what do we really need to know to really take money and our finances to the next level? It's all about that, that information, right? So the lack of information, the lack of financial product knowledge out there, not just the basic stuffs that, come in, through your emails or these different apps, stuff that's great. But really understanding financial concepts really can help women just take things to a whole nother level, a whole nother way of building their wealth and building their legacy.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And so what we're going to do today is talk about what does that look like from a woman's perspective. But it's not just women. I mean, some of the concepts that we're going to go over today, Nekei, really, they help everybody, right? And we know that most women are going to inherit large sums of money as the baby boomers are starting to retire and ultimately transition and pass away. That wealth is transferring to women. So what we want to make sure is that we have the conversation around what should they be thinking about? What's important and what do they need to know when it comes to their wealth? So let's talk a little bit, Nekei, about what do women really want? Mm-hmm. So from my perspective, from what I can see, it's all about lifestyle, right? I think that I'll tell you my experience growing up with my mom. There's a certain lifestyle I think she wanted for us, but what we found was we couldn't live that lifestyle. And it was largely because she didn't have enough money to afford it. She didn't really know how money worked, right? Like she had all of these different pockets where she had put money, but it wasn't necessarily working for her. So when we talk about enough money to maintain your lifestyle through retirement, that's really pivotal. I'll share with you when my mom, she worked, single mom as well. She worked 3 jobs. And then when I finally got her to the point where, listen, you've done enough. Let's get you retired and let's have you enjoy your life. She finally retired, but she didn't get a chance to enjoy it. She passed away in the first 3 years of her retirement. It was actually more like the first year and a half, right? And so, when you think about what's happening to people, we work, and the goal is to be able to retire. But what happens if you either, A, haven't prepared for retirement, or B, when you do retire, you don't get a chance to enjoy it? How do women handle that?
I mean, just preparing for retirement and then not being able to enjoy it. Like, I've seen a few women, who are in their 70s, sometimes 60s, and they're doing these jobs, working at Walmart, or, they're doing like McDonald's jobs. That's because they didn't plan properly and they didn't understand money, and they didn't understand that, with money and wealth and what it's supposed to be like, that you're supposed to really, really understand the numbers and the numbers it takes for you to be able to live that lifestyle, right? And then be able to cover the expenses, because of course, most expenses are not going to be covered by just a minimum wage job, with the rising with healthcare and all your other needs that you might need.
Absolutely. You said something that's so pivotal. The rising cost of healthcare actually is the number one expense in retirement. In fact, statistically, we have seen that for a married couple who retire at age 65, in their lifetime from 65 to death, with one having a major health-related incident, they will have spent close to $200,000 of their own money. So when you realize, as you said, the rising cost of healthcare and the impact that it has on our finances, it's really important to understand how money works and to have some strategies in place. I think the biggest concern of folks when they're going to retire is that, do I have enough? It's the fear of the unknown. They don't know, will Social Security always be there? Will their savings last as long as they do? And will they outlive their finances? So what I want to really talk about are what are some of those financial cornerstones that we should be aware of that can really help us when it comes to preparing for our financial futures. And I'm going to go over some key concepts. And what I want to encourage those that are joining us today to do is jot down some notes. Some of these cornerstones are going to raise some questions in your mind, and that's a good thing, because that means you're going to start critically thinking about what you're doing for you and your family for now and in the future. And you're also going to have an opportunity to learn more about some of these things, because we're not going to be able to go deep into all of them. But I want to talk about the importance of having a strong foundation. And so no matter what you're doing from a financial services perspective, if it's building out your finances for you and your family, making sure you can retire. Maybe you're going to buy a home and you're going to look at the house, or maybe you're starting a business. All of those things have one key part in common, and that is a strong financial or a strong foundation. A house has to sit on a strong foundation so that when storms come along, it doesn't come crumbling down. A business has to be built on good values and ethics. That's its foundation. And your finances have to be built on a strong foundation as well. And that foundation has 4 key components. Today, we're going to talk about 2 of them. We'll delve into one a little bit more than the other. But I want you to think about, what are your finances made up of? Should be made up of 4 key components: protecting your most valuable assets, understanding how to get your money to grow, but how to do that in a way that it's safe, minimizing the impact of volatility in the markets, and also keeping as much money as possible in your pocket. And I want to talk a little bit about, how does money grow? It interests me a lot to see how we work very, very hard for our money. You know, sometimes we do a lot of overtime. There's people working multiple jobs. And the goal is that they want their money to work just as hard for them as they did for it. But the question is that happening? And where you put your money matters. When we talk about growing your money, there are some simple concepts you should be aware of. And one of them is interest. And there's different types. There's simple, there's compound. But I will tell you that compound interest is the one that allows your money to grow the fastest. In fact, your money can grow exponentially. And so I want to talk a little bit about the rule of 72, which simply says that if you divide into 72, the interest rate that you're getting on your investment, we can tell you in years how long it would take your money to double. So as you can see here, we show you 4 different interest rates. And clearly, the higher the interest rate, the faster your money doubles. In this example, someone who's 29 and put $10,000 into a vehicle that was generating an interest could determine how long it would take for that money to double so that it would be there for them when they needed the most. The first one is a 1% interest rate. Well, that's like the savings banks. And I share that because, believe it or not, that's what the majority of people are doing. They don't really understand how money works. But we know that 72 divided by 1 is 72. So if that's where your money is and you're hoping that it'll be there when you need it, while it will be there, it won't necessarily be enough to help you take care of the things that you need to when you retire.
And then you might end up being like working at Walmart or something because, you know, you put your money in that vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, putting it there, it's like your money's not growing. But, you know, Kim, when I look at the others and I see the other options, I'm blown away. I'm like, wow, where can I get that?
Yeah, absolutely. And believe it or not, to get a 10% rate of return on your money, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do that. And you don't have to have a lot of money in order to leverage those kinds of returns. And you see the difference, right? I mean, Nekei, if you had an option, would you rather have your money growing at 4% and get $40,000 when you're 65 or $320,000 when you're 65, right?
$320,000 all the way. I have a lifestyle I need to cover.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these are some of the key components that people need to understand. But they also need to understand that where you put your money has some risk associated with it. And I love to talk about what is the real effect of risk, right? So, when you look at this slide, you see that someone, let's say, Nekei, you had $100,000. It's 2017. You're doing great. You're seeing your portfolio grow, and bam, 2018 comes around and your account takes a hit. Now, in 2018, the markets were down about 39% worldwide. But let's make believe it was down 50%. You got $50,000. How does that make you feel?
Not good.
Not good at all, right? I often say people watch their 401k become a 201k, right?
Oh, wow, 201k.
Exactly. But we always hear about, the markets rebound and we've gotten all our money back. And so the markets have gone right back up 50%. But look at how much money you would have after that, Nekei.
Right.
Is that what you would have expected?
No, actually not. I thought that, hey, when the market goes back up, I'll just go ahead and just go back to where I was. Isn't that knowing how it's supposed to work?
Well, we have to look at it from the bottom line. And the markets may have rebounded and they may have gone back up 50%. But at the end of the day, it's all about how much money is in your account. And so if the markets went up 50% or 25%, whatever that percentage is, it's going to be based on your current account value, not what it once was. So as you can see here, in order for you to capture all of the losses, the market has to do close to, if not double what it did going down. And in this case, that would be 100% rate of return. That doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
So this is really important to know, because as we're building out our finances and preparing for our future, we have to take risk into consideration and really understand what it means to our overall portfolio. But there's also the taxes, right? So I don't know about you. I can't stand taxes, but I pay them. But I can't stand them, right? And so when we know that this is something we have to do, we have to understand the different ways that we deal with taxes. And, taxes play a vital role in everything that you do. They tax you when you make it, correct?
Yes.
What about when you go shopping? Do you pay taxes?
I pay taxes.
And when you save, do you remember getting a little form at the end of the year about the growth on your account? You pay taxes then too?
Yes.
So we are constantly being taxed. So as we're looking at how to build out our wealth and how to prepare for our future, we have to take that into consideration. And there are 3 different ways that we can be taxed. A tax now vehicle are things that we're most familiar with: CDs, bank accounts, right? And this is a great way to save money because, well, your money's growing and it's safe, but you don't have to pay the taxes. You don't have to worry about taxes later on. You just take care of it right then and there. The challenge with tax now accounts is every time your account grows a little bit, you got to take a little piece off and give it to Uncle Sam, right? Mm-hmm. So there isn't as much as you would hope to get it to grow. But what if, Nekei, you had the ability to have your money grow and not worry about the taxes right now? Do you think that would be better?
Of course, absolutely.
And that's what tax later is. Those are what we call tax deferred accounts. So some folks may have heard of 401ks or IRAs. These are which are known as tax deferred accounts. And these types of accounts give you the ability to take all of your money before you pay your taxes and invest it. And that's a beautiful thing because now you have more opportunity for it to grow. If you're growing and you're putting $100 away versus $75 away, there's more opportunity for growth there. But tax later accounts have some restrictions. They are earmarked for the future. So you're not supposed to touch it until you're 59 and a half. Doesn't mean you can't, but if you do, there'll be a penalty. And Remember, I said these are tax later, not tax never. So you will ultimately pay taxes on these in the future. But there's a third way that you can structure your account so that you can avoid paying taxes on the growth. And those are what are called tax advantage accounts. And you may have heard of Roth IRAs. I'm sure you're familiar with them, right?
Yes, I'm definitely familiar. I have one.
Excellent, excellent. Well, there's also the cash accumulation of life insurance. And that vehicle allows you to put your money in that vehicle and have it grow tax-free. And you could take that money out in the future and not worry about taxes, the tax rate, as long as you abide by certain obligations. So when we talk about how to build out a strong foundation and the cornerstones, these are two of the key areas that you have to focus on. But understanding how different vehicles works are great, but you got to know how to put them all together. So Nekei, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were going somewhere you never have been before and you had to figure out how to navigate that?
Yeah. Without my GPS.
And so tell me, what are the benefits of having your GPS? How does that help you when you're going to a new location?
Well, I'm able to input the address and it directly takes me where I want to go. I don't have to think about it or wonder or see if I make a mistake. I just navigate and I arrive.
And now, how does that GPS help you if there's an accident ahead or a road closure, or even if you accidentally made the wrong turn? How does that GPS help you?
It actually just navigates right around it.
I love it. I love it. And so I want to ask you, do you think that life would be a lot easier if we not only had a GPS for getting from point A to point B, but if we had one for our finances? Do you think that the lives of individuals would be a little less stressful, a little bit easier, and give them a view into what's possible for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, with a GPS, anything's possible because now you have an actual destination and a map and a guidance to actually go to where you need to go without having to worry about it.
Absolutely. And that's, when we talk about finances, that is pivotal. I talk about making sure that people have a financial GPS that can help them get to where they want to be, right? And looking at 6 key areas. The first one is the cash flow, making sure that you have the cash and it's directed appropriately for you to get to your destination. And you do that through managing your expenses and knowing where your money is going. And sometimes you don't even have enough money to get to where you need to be. And we got to look at that as well. But you also got to look at having an emergency fund. 2020 was a year of revelation for me. I realized that a lot of people were living paycheck to paycheck, even more so than I knew statistically. And when 2020 occurred, there were so many people that did not have an emergency fund set aside that could help sustain them while we waited out the pandemic, right? And so one of the key things is making sure that people understand they should have 3 to 6 months of their income in a liquid account, so that when life happens, instead of going to credit cards, they could go to that.
Absolutely.
And, oftentimes, though, I meet people where their debt is really controlling them. They don't have control over the debt is controlling them. And they feel like they can't even begin to save until they get out of debt. But the reality is you have to do both together. If you pay off all your bills and then the very next day you have an emergency, if you don't have an emergency fund, where do you think you're going to go back to?
Where to go back to?
Exactly. And
you're finished.
And then your only option is to rely on those credit cards again. And here we go. We're maxing out the cards, right? Yeah. So looking at those things in tandem are important, but you also got to protect your most valuable asset. I mean, when we talk about protecting your most valuable asset, we're talking about you. You know, you already said, Nekei, that women are the main breadwinners in most households. So imagine if something happens to that woman and she doesn't come home one day. How is that family taken care of?
Exactly.
How is it protected, right?
And if they're single moms, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like they maybe the major, you know, breadwinner, they're a single mom, they've got the kids, they have to worry about college. You know, a lot of moms, and I've spoken to many of them, they're not thinking in these, you know, areas like, oh, maybe I need to put money away to save, you know, 3 to 6 months in case another pandemic happens or some other unforeseen thing. You know, how do they get a chance to even plan for that without actually knowing they need to plan for this?
Exactly. And we're working really hard as women, right? We, like we said in the beginning, we do it all. We have all those hands up. But it's also about building your wealth. It's great to work really hard, but is your money working hard for you? Most people have not really sat down and analyzed it. They look at their statements and they say, oh, my money's growing. But I realize most people don't know how to determine what is the real rate of return on the accounts that they have. And then to your point, preserving it, right? Making sure that the family is good. Listen, the reality is we don't get to live forever, but our family will continue to live on for generation to generation. So how do we make sure that all of the things that we're doing is positioned in such a way that future generations are taken care of as well? And this is one of the key things that we do that we're able to help people with in terms of assessing where are they at, but more importantly, where do you want to go? See, it's your dream. It's your story. You know, this is called her legacy. So what is the legacy that you want to create for your family? And once you've identified the legacy, now it's to create that GPS, that financial GPS that can help you to actually achieve that. So, you know, Nekei, I always hear women say, well, you know, I can't do that until I do this. And I've got this going on. So how do we make all of that happen? Is it possible?
It is possible. It's possible to have your cake and eat it too. So you can have your wealth, you can have your dream life, you can create that business of your dreams, you can build out your bank account, you can have that 3 to 6 month savings. It's all possible, right? And, you know, why not be possible and keep those kinds of options open where you can have it all possible for you?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Being just having that open mindset, I think it starts with a mindset because, you know, without the mindset of, hey, you know, why not? Right?
Yeah. That's right. And, you know, I know you're a business owner, as am I. And I imagine some of our guests are probably business owners and some are probably, you know, housewives or just getting started in life. But we can have it all. You know, having that business and a family, we can do it. I've done it. Nekei's doing it, right? Having people that we work with that support us. One of the events that I attended through this summit talked about how women are supporting other women. And I think when we all come together and we support each other, there's nothing that we can't do. We work really hard, but we should absolutely play hard as well. And I'm glad to know that there are ways, there are opportunities available for people to have it all, no matter what. And I want to make sure, Nekei, that everybody has an opportunity to learn more about what some of those things are. So I know that as we continue this, I know that we have a survey that we want folks to know about. So I'm going to ask if you could share that with everyone. And let's talk a little bit about how do we spread this message?
Absolutely. So we are also building, you know, our Instagram for Her Legacy Talk because we want the conversation for women, right? To know that, look, these options are open. There's ways that you can learn about money. We actually teach on these things. We love to educate other women. We want women to feel like you are financially secure and you're just ready to take on and also be a contributor to your family. There might be some men on this call that'll be listening in. So we wanted to shape, the perspective for more women to really be in control of their money, not just building wealth and not just just understanding those certain concepts, but really deep diving and sharing the knowledge with other women. So we are on Instagram, which is at Her Legacy Talk. And you can tag other women, say, hey, you know what? You should really do and figure out like what you really want to do with your life. How do you want to build your wealth? How do you envision your future? I really think that you should reach out to Her Legacy Talk, have a discussion, and we host discussions, complimentary discussions for women that, minimum 3 women will get together. Let's get together in a Zoom call, coffee, brunch, whatever. Let's do it. Her Legacy Talk is about spreading the impact and in creating for more women leaders. Kimberly Gilgeours, she is a speaker, also a financial coach. If you have your phone, you can scan that, follow Kimberly on IG for Butterfly Focus. That will go directly to her site. And she has those amazing resources on there, which we did include, which I put in your goodie bag. And, I'm so appreciative of having Kimberly as part of Her Legacy Talk, because she is a powerhouse woman that's in finance, that's just been doing such amazing things and helping women really understand their money. You can also visit me at Ask Nekei, which is asknekei.com, and follow me on Instagram at asknekei. And I have a scan code there. You're welcome to scan that to go out to my website. And I'm super interested in just helping more women be aware of opportunities. I have so much opportunities from real estate. I work with people in the finance department. I also am doing some business coaching along the way. So just making a whole full strategy to really help you to get to the next level and take that legacy, your creative ideas, to the next level, right? Because this is all about Her Legacy Talk. So Her Legacy Talk is not only about money, but it's all about supporting women business owners. These are some other amazing women business owners who are doing great things, I'm actually wearing one of Sexy Lips lipstick, which is 24 hours stay, and I love it. It's amazing. And the Stories of Immigrant Women Entrepreneurs. It's a brand new book. I'm also supporting her. She's doing amazing things. And feel free to definitely check out these products because they are amazing. I'm so excited, to support women entrepreneurs. So just being a part of this is the amazing thing to do to just spread the knowledge. So it's survey time. I did drop a survey link in the chat, and feel free to fill that out. By filling that out, or you can scan it with your scan phone, we'll be able to pretty much reach out to you to pretty much get you the information that you need for your situation, right? We're not here to just talk about her legacy and her wealth. And you're like, okay, great, Nekei and Kimberly, these concepts are great. So what do I do now? This is what you do. The next step, right? We want to be able to help you and create this amazing future for whatever that you want to do, right? And just, make it happen. Let's just talk about it. Is it retirement? Is it, maybe buying that dream house, that dream car, starting that new business, right? So you could get it into the Passionistas project, that new product, so you can list with them. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. We are here as women business owners. We're here to support. We're here just to help make a difference because women need to grow their wealth. They need to be able to, to take things to the next level. We've also included a digital goodie bag, which you will also see as a link. And through that digital goodie bag, you'll be able to see a couple of resources, some of our favorite books. Kimberly has amazing favorite books that she loves to read. I've also included some of mine. And everyone who's attending this, if you sign up on asknekei.com, pretty much as a new account, and I will be sending you my Launch X 30 days book, workbook, complimentary. So you will get that workbook just for being here on the webinar. And, the Passionistas project, I support them so much with this. And I said, you know what? I want to help promote more women business owners, creating their legacy. What are you going to leave to your children, right? What is it that you want to create to really, really make a dent in the world? Is it a nonprofit? Is it a new product? Is it a new hair product? You know, are you building furniture? Like, you want to buy more real estate and help others get into it? Like, what is that passion that you guys have out there? As women, we really need to step to the table and really realize that, look, we've got this. We are strong. We are independent. We are fierce. We are beautiful. We are all of these things. And with all of these things, her legacy is where it stands, because we are the ones bringing the next generation into the world. We are the women doing all of this and birthing the children and being the chef and being the cook and being the wife and just doing it all. We're here to do it all because you know what? We're superwomen. Isn't that right, Kim?
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love your energy. It's so important. And, you know, we gave you guys a lot of information, but we have so much more to offer you in terms of tools. Please make sure you're taking advantage of that. First, complete the survey. The survey, as you can see, if you've clicked on the QR code or you've clicked the link that Nekei dropped in the chat, that survey is going to allow us to do two things. One, it's going to help us stay well informed on what's important to women when it comes to their finances. Secondly, it's also going to give us an opportunity to hear from you. What do you want to know more about? There are so many resources that are out there for you. We want to make sure that you guys have access to it. And, you know, I know we can go out on Google and you can Google anything, but I will tell you that if your child was sick or you had something going on with you health-wise, you might Google it, but you're always going to know that you need to go to the experts to really get an analysis of what's happening. And we want to be able to provide you with that information. Nekei's got some great giveaways. You see, she supports a lot of amazing women. And so make sure you're checking out those different product lines. If we support each other, there's nothing we can't do. And for those of you that do complete the survey, we have an amazing ebook with all information around financial concepts that will be made available to you as well. So with that being said, Nekei, do we have any questions in the chat?
Let's see. I didn't see any questions yet in the chat. I did share the link, so you guys do have that link. We just wanted to make sure that, you know, the biggest part about, you know, her legacy talk and women is that we wanted to share this information. We want to reach as many women. So please, even if you personally aren't able to take advantage of it, share with another woman. You see another woman struggling, you know, she's just looking for like something else. You know, I have a lot of business opportunities for women too. To collaborate as business partners. We have amazing referral partnerships that we can create. If, you know, you guys want to get involved in real estate, I have lots of options for real estate. There's no reason to not create another stream of revenue, right? And then creating this wealth, because when you create the wealth, the revenue stream, you're not like under in your numbers where you're not affording to do the things you want to do. We want to help more women afford to be able to do these types of things, right? 2022 is just around the corner. Take a look at this year and see what have you done that can really create your legacy. Like, have you done anything that says, you know what, this is something I can pass on to my kids? Or, you know, I now understand my money more. I really personally took it upon myself to really understand my money and understand like my finances, because it's so important to know your numbers, okay? And by knowing this, it will just take it to another level. Let me give you an example today. I checked my bank account today, and normally my bank account says, bump, 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 right? So today, my bank account said, bump, bump, bump. I said, oh. I said, what is this? You know, because I make sure to look at my account every day, right? So I says, hey, what is this? I noticed it was $3 short. $3. And I know you guys are like, okay, Nekei, you're gonna have a heart attack for $3? No. It's the principle, right? it's the principle. So I said, you know what? Let me look into this a little deeper. So I looked into this a little deeper and I said, oh, I see Acorns charge me $3. I said, wow, I haven't used Acorns in like years. I don't understand, like, where did this money come from? So I decided to give them a call. And by giving them a call, right, I was like, well, I noticed there was a charge in my account. I wasn't really familiar with this charge because I know I don't use it. I don't have any money in Acorns. So I'm like, where is this charge coming from? They're like, well, thank you for calling after 40 minutes of waiting on hold. I see that you have particularly, we have upgraded to our new subscription and everyone's being charged $3 in a very quick way. So it's like, oh, really? Oh, okay, great. I was like, you know what? So, would you mind just refunding the $3? Because you know what? I said, oh, well, how much money do I have with you guys? And they said, well, no money. You closed it out in 2018. Wow, okay. Well, would you mind going ahead and refunding those $3 to me? I would really appreciate it on this Sunday morning. I'm sorry, ma'am, but based upon our new policies, all accounts that are in here will now be charged $3 a month. And I was like, okay, but I don't have any money in there, right? This is all about women and watching your wealth. You really got to watch these pennies, right? You got to see where they're going because everyone's trying to grab your money. So guess what? Grab your own money, put it in the right vehicles that it needs to happen so that you can create this legacy, right? And create your own wealth because everyone else out there wants your money.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I said, all right, well, unless you guys want a lawsuit or something, I really want my $3 back, because this is only about $3 from 4 years ago. So you guys just took it upon yourself to just charge it out because you felt like it.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, and he was like, well, ma'am, let's see what we can do here. Well, I was like, unless I need to speak to a manager because I really need my $3 and I'll have to call the bank. Thank you. And I say this story because it literally happened before this thing is that, it's your money, right? We as women, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to stand up for your dollar. If it's $1, 50 cents, $3, it belongs to you. This is your money, right?
Yes.
So in order to preserve your wealth, you need to A, know where your money's going, B, how it's spent, C, you're investing it. You're also protecting your money. At the same time, ladies, like this is what it's about. If we don't do this and stand up for what is ours, people will be walking all over us. I'm like, okay, we'll just charge your car, no problem.
That's right. That's right. You're so right. It's about knowing where your money is and how to get your money to grow for you as well. There's actually a question along these lines from one of our guests. And the question was around, as we get older, how do we make sure that monies that we have, maybe in an IRA or a different vehicle, how do we make sure that we keep it growing? And so the one thing there, and so in answer to that question, there are many ways to do that. And I don't want to go through the specifics on here, but complete the survey and I will go over many options that you have. But let me just say this. Age is never a factor in getting your money to grow. Let me say that again. Age is never a factor in getting your money to grow. You could be 5 years old and starting to build wealth. You could be 75 years old and starting to build wealth, and you could be 80 years old and building wealth. It's not about the age. It's about what are you doing to get your money to work for you. So regardless of your age, there are specific things you can do. And for those of you that have those kinds of questions, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about different financial strategies that exist, how to protect what you have while continuing to get it to grow based on what's happening in the market. That is absolutely possible. So those that have those kinds of questions, complete the survey. Feel free to drop the question, even in there's a free format field. Put your specific question in there and we'll talk one-on-one. We can show you exactly what you can consider that can help you to achieve your goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said.
Yes. Well, this has been, I have to say, a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I know we're all around the country right about now. I hope that everybody took some valuable nuggets from this session, but don't stop there. Learn what you need to learn. Complete the survey, get access to the tools, get access to us, and let us help you build out your financial GPS to get you from where you are right now to wherever you want to be, to whatever your goals and dreams are. You deserve it and you can have it. And as Nekei said, you can have your cake and
eat it too.
Absolutely. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Have a great one, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.